Hellena Prison. Looks very dark, too. Of course, they would call it a dark fantasy. So that is Shauna right there. Be good in there. Who the heck is the girl? You can tell me! The world's future rests on her. That's it? This is enough information for you. Those of you who do not grasp the value should just do what the order says. I am not taking your orders. Only His Majesty Dole can order me. Anyway, you must remember this. If you make a scratch on her, it'll cost more than your head. This is a message from Emperor Dole. Ah! Ah! Even the warden, Frugal, yeah, that's his name, but he even throws his own people into dark chasms like that whenever he gets pissed off. But anyway, hey everybody, it's RRPG here, and welcome back to another episode of The Legend of Zelda. Wait a minute, we're not even playing The Legend of Zelda. This is The Legend of Dragoon on the PlayStation. So yes, this is another episode of RRPG Let's Play, where we're playing The Legend of Dragoon on the PS1. So in today's episode, we're going to go through this forest, and we are going to make our way to Hellena Prison. We should be able to get there in this episode, but anyway, let's go ahead and get on with this episode that's already in progress. So we go into the forest, and it's just called Forest. Excuse me. Of course, they gotta start us somewhere with where we can fight against basic enemies and all that. And here we talk to this merchant, and he says, I lost the squirrel. Oh well. In these troubled times, you have to protect yourself. What do you think? Want to buy something? Let's see what he has. Wait, he might have something useful for us. Anyway, we can buy ourselves a healing potion, a body purifier, or we can buy a burnout, and charm potion. Now with body purifiers, they can nullify poison, stunning, and arm blocking. And with the charm potion, we can reduce the risk of encounters. That is, if we don't want to fight too many of the regular battles in the overworld map, or within a place that is filled with monsters, then we can use the charm potion. Now with the burnout, we can actually use this to attack an enemy with a multiplier, which I showed you in the boss fight in the previous episode. But we will be talking about that after we deal with the merchant, or while we are dealing with the merchant, because he will tell us a lot of other things too, in relation to using an item like this. So let's go ahead and buy a couple of body purifiers, and then we'll leave the screen. We don't need to buy that much. Don't you want to know how to use the items? I can teach you that. Sure, why not? Yes, please. Here we go. Let's begin. And so, as you would have guessed, this guy is going to show us how to use the items in battle, which I have been mentioning in the previous episode, that there was going to be somebody who's going to teach us how to use items like this. What do you want to talk about? Attack items with damage. An attack item's basic damage is determined by the magic power, MAT, or MAT, and the attributes. Here, let me tell you about MAT. Frankly, an item is magic without a form. So if you have more magic power, the results will be greater. Next are elements. There are 8 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, light, darkness, thunder, and non-elemental. So, this is the point. Never forget opposing combinations of fire and water, wind and earth, light and darkness. Using the opposite attacking item to the enemies doubles the damage. And using an attacking item with the same element halves the damage. Elements appear when you select an enemy in battle. The window color lets you know which one. I'll tell you about window color's attributes. An attack, or an attack item's element. Let me tell you again. Fire and water, wind and earth, light and darkness oppose each other. Be efficient when you use the items by thinking about their attributes. Well, got it? Of course, yeah, I definitely got it. Okay, and what else do we want to talk about? Or what we want him to talk about? How about we hear about what he has to say about attack items elemental, or element. The characters have elemental properties. There are 8 possible: fire, water, wind, earth, light, darkness, thunder, and non-elemental. Let me explain each of them. Fire base. Window color is red, the opposite is water. Water base. Window color is blue, the opposite is fire. Wind base. The color is green, or the window color is green, the opposite is earth. Earth base. Window color is brown, the opposite is wind. Light based. Window color is yellow, the opposite is darkness. Darkness base. Window color is dark blue, the opposite is light. Thunder base. Window color is magenta, or purple, and there is no opposite. Non-elemental. Window color is gray, there is no opposite. So, as you would have guessed, thunder and non-elemental, they do not oppose each other. So, they are the only elements that cannot double or half the damage in either hitting enemies or when getting hit by other elements. So, be fortunate enough if you have somebody with those elements. But for this purpose, we don't have anybody right now that is at a non-elemental status. But anyway, being opposite matters when using an attack item. I'll tell you the details about opposites in attack items' damage. Oh, we already talked about that. Alright, let's go ahead and use or learn how to use a multiplying item. And I showed you about that in the previous episode, but we're going to get the basic gist of it now. Select the item command, then select an item with multi or multiply in the item window or the item description window, and select the target. It's no different from other items, right? Now, here's the difference with multiplying items. When a multiplying item is used, the button icon is displayed at the bottom right of the screen. Just hit the X repeatedly. Believe it or not, the damage increases. Work hard and you can prolong the damage. You gonna get hit? Come on, try it. Give it to me. Okay, so we're gonna use the burnout on him, and then we're gonna multiply the strength of the item that we're gonna be using on the merchant. And he is water-based, and we're fire-based. So, when the X appears on screen, we want to tap it like a madman. There we go. I think the maximum amount of damage you can get from an item multiplier is at least 208%. Great! Perfect! How's that? Want to try one more time? No thank you. Well, I think we had enough. And with that, we are done hearing from the merchant about how to use items in battle. So, I think we are good enough to protect ourselves with the other basics on how to use self-defense items instead of using brute strength in battle. So that is good practice right there. Anyway, come again. I'll teach you how to use the items anytime you want. Well, thank you, but for right now, we're going to get busy trying to get back to Hellena Prison, or going there. Well, this is actually the first time we're going to go to that prison. I don't know why I would say we're going to go back there. I mean, this is the first time we're dealing with something hellacious for once. But yeah, as you can tell, when going through this game, you can actually travel on pre-rendered cutscenes, kind of like, or pre-rendered backgrounds, kind of like the Final Fantasy games that were on the PlayStation. So very reminiscent of that. Now, I will say that when you're going in random places like this, or places where enemies you can encounter, that the encounter rate can get a bit repetitive, but that's something you're going to have to expect when you're playing this game. Like this, for instance. Okay, so who do we have to fight here inside of this luscious forest? Looks like... We can attack the Trent, which is this tree-like enemy, or we can attack the Assassin Cock, which is a wind enemy. So that's an earth enemy and that's a wind enemy. We might as well attack the Assassin Cock because the Assassin Cock does a bit more damage than the Trent. So let's go ahead and take care of it first. And as I've been saying, with the additions, they have 5 different levels, and every time we execute that attack on enemies, then that will add up points for the levels that you can obtain up to, and every level you obtain with the addition, then the strength will grow. Okay, let's go ahead and do it again. And there we go. Well, we just got another hit on, we just got one hit on Trent, but I think we're gonna this enemy is gonna take at least, I would say, 2 or 3 hits to put him in his place. But just make sure that you continue to use or hit the buttons in the correct order or in the correct timing, so that way you can get the points to add up and you can level up the double slash ability. So, as you would have guessed, there's hardly any dialogue in this game except for in the pre-rendered or in the FMV scenes and within the fights. So, there is hardly a lot of voice acting whatsoever, but that is a good thing, so that way I can keep talking to you all without having to be interrupted by the ongoing text that's on screen. Let's go ahead and open up this item box, and what do we get? Okay, we acquired 20 gold pieces. And I think if we go this way, that will... Actually, that will take us over there, but I think if we head this way, that will actually take us to this part, and we can open up this treasure box, or just a big wooden box, and that will give us another burnout. And no, this is not an EA property. This is a Sony Computer Entertainment property. And yes, this was made at the time before the PlayStation completely lost steam, so... And besides, we were getting to the point where the PlayStation 2 was about to release, so I would say that this game is probably one of the few swan songs of the system, but I would say it's a swan song for Sony Computer Entertainment before they went to the PS2. I have no time to deal with you! It reminds me. Wait! This way! This way! Eek! Cut it out! Leave Shanna alone! Or Shauna, whatever. Leave Shauna alone! Hang in there. I'll get you out from there. He's talking about Shauna in Hellena Prison, by the way, if you did not catch that already. Alright, we got ourselves another battle fight, and don't worry, since we're going to be going through this Let's Play, episodes like the first episode are not going to be that long unless if necessary, so... Don't worry if we end up having to go overboard sometimes, but there will be times where we do not go overboard, and, you know, man, it seems like it's really hard for me to get back into the trend of doing Let's Plays like this, because I've been AWOL for about at least 2 or 3 weeks because of me trying to get a new external hard drive and losing all that footage of Skyward Sword and Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, so... It's been kind of hard to get back into the trail of things, so, or getting the feel of things on how to do a Let's Play, so at least it's good to be back finally, and I do feel real bad having to put the other 2 projects on hiatus, but, you know, with stuff like this happening, or, you know, where I have to get the footage back, or get back to the places where I can capture the footage again, it's kind of has to be expected that way, because... Let's face it, nobody's external hard drive is going to survive for over probably 5 years, and the new one I got is a Toshiba EXT. It's one of those portable external hard drives, so that way, when you plug it in, it will automatically start up, and you can save up to at least 320 gigabytes. I know there are better external hard drives out there, but that was the one I happened to find that was the cheapest at the time, and trust me, it's really good. Okay, we've obtained another level with Dart, and we're at level 3 right now. And before we go into a Hellena Prison, I would say it would probably be a good idea to get your character up to at least level 4, or level 5 if you want to, but level 4 at least. So, anyway, we're back in south of Serdio, which is the region of the world map that we're on. And as you would have guessed, the world maps are very linear because they have a linear path that we can travel on when we're going to places like Hellena Prison and some of the others that are within the world of, or the continent of Indiness, which is the name of the place that we're at. So there must be some newer continents within the world of The Legend of Dragoon that we have not even expanded on yet because, well, Sony still hasn't gotten off their butts to make a sequel, a prequel, or a remake of this game, or to expand more on the mythos to The Legend of Dragoon, since it really has brought in a huge fan following after the first game released back in 2000. And let's face it, I do want to see a new game in the series, or at least see DARP make it into the new PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale on the PS3, since they are going to be having Sony brand characters be in the game as well as third-party characters, and I think Dartfeld would actually be a good representative for the Legend of Dragoon franchise, since it is owned by Sony. So that would be a good thing if they managed to get it in there. And one little tidbit about this game that I realized is that the FMV scenes, they were all made by Polyphony Digital, which is the developer for the Gran Turismo franchise. So I thought I'd go ahead and throw in that little tidbit. I thought it was actually pretty cool because the FMVs are actually really well done, really detailed, and just ahead of the curve for a PS1 game. Definitely pushes the PS1 to its full potential in terms of the graphics for an FMV sequence on a CD, but you know what I'm talking about. See what I mean? It's kind of hard to talk about things when you're trying to get back into the flow, but, you know, it happens. And as you would have guessed, we can hit the R or L buttons if we want to change the angle of the world map if we want to. But for the most part, it's really not that necessary. But if you want to hit the L2 or R2 button, you can actually zoom out on the map to where you can actually view the whole continent of Indiness, and they give you a general idea of what most of the continent is like, and where the certain aspect or the certain country within the continent is where you're going to be at. Alright guys, I think that's going to go ahead, or I think that's going to be the turning point where we're going to have to stop this episode, and we will continue on in the next one. So, next time on RRPG Let's Play with The Legend of Dragoon on the PlayStation, we are going to go inside Hellena Prison, and we're going to begin our operation in rescuing Shauna from the Hellena Guards, or the Sandora Army, or the Imperial Sandoran Army, or whatever they're called. But anyway, thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you on the next one. So anyway, guys, take care of yourselves, and I shall see you guys then.